Hey there, it's Margaret. Welcome to my channel, Texas Gal Treasures. In today's video, we're going to be talking about estate sales. Frequently, there's a lot of things that you can pick up at estate sales that maybe are out of your wheelhouse. And a lot of times, I know personally, estate sales can be hit or miss depending on the company running the estate sale. That being said, we're going to go through 10 areas that I like to hit up at estate sales that maybe might be areas that you could dive into as well. So walking into this estate sale, I felt like it was a pretty bad sign that I was the only car there. And this was later in the day. So it kind of made me feel like, well, I don't know if there's going to be deals to be had. But like I said, there's always ways to find deals. And as I always say, there's no one person that knows all things. So things frequently go missed or unnoticed that can bring a good profit. Now this estate sale, it didn't seem like it was run by one of those big companies, but it was definitely pricey. So I was going through some of the jewelry, trying to figure out like what would be worth my while picking up in these items. Jewelry is definitely one of those things that when you go to an estate sale to take a look at, especially if it's set up more like this. Sometimes estate sales will take jewelry from one estate sale to the next, and you'll know it right off the bat because you'll see these big cases just chock full of jewelry that has probably been brought from other estate sales where it didn't sell prior to that. But let's take a look at, if you are new to jewelry, how to figure out what to start looking for. We'll just do a quick tutorial on jumping into eBay and how to do a little research before you go in, just to give yourself a few things to be thinking about while you're at an estate sale. So just doing a straight search for jewelry on eBay, you see there's over 500,000 results for jewelry. So you want to narrow this down to maybe used jewelry because you know it's probably going to be used when you go to a garage sale. Let me show you how to do that. So you'll go down after you've created your search for, say, jewelry. You can be more specific. You'll scroll down. You're going to be looking at the left side. If this is old news for you, just bear with me one second. Somebody's at the door. All right, so you scroll down and where it says condition, you're going to select use. That will narrow the field down. So now you can see there's still over 100,000 plus results for jewelry there. So what we're going to do, see there it is, 100,000, is that we want to see what has sold, because it's fantastic that there's so much up there, but we want to know what is actually selling. So again, over on the side, you're going to come over and you're going to, I think here I ended up selecting unbranded because sometimes you don't know what brand to be looking for. But if you click on like the type, you can also see like I want to focus on just necklaces. So here I selected just necklaces, unbranded, and there are still 34,000 results. So again, I want to see what has sold. Oh, you know what? First I said, let's pick things that are going to sell for over $35. So I clicked the little button on the side for price for over $35. And these are the solds that I was seeing on eBay. So things like this, and this is the kind of stuff I look for. Things that are made of stone or coral, things that are figural, say like this scarab charm, things like animals. Cat stuff generally does pretty well, so charm bracelets, things with cats or different animals. Like I said, people really like figural stuff. Of course, anything sterling silver or turquoise, it's going to do pretty well as well. This is a brand called Swarovski. That is something that I like to look for. It's a higher end type costume jewelry. They use their Swarovski crystals. So a few go-to things that you could be looking for are things made of stone, figural items, and things like that, cameos. All right, so let's jump back into the estate sale. Another area that I for sure always look at are the holiday items. This Christmas ornament just so happened to be in with the jewelry, but a lot of times they will have a whole section at an estate sale that is dedicated just to the holiday items, whether Christmas or Halloween, what have you, on what the person had at their home. So Christmas ornaments are another area that if you're not checking that out when you go to estate sales, a lot of times you can find them for pretty cheap. Sometimes they'll have a whole box that they just want you to take the whole box for a certain price. But I like to look for ones that are pewter, silver plate. There are glass ones, anything that are cool figural ones. That's one of my go-tos, whether it's cats or carousel horses like this. But there's a lot of money to be made in holiday items. And I want to encourage you to get your holiday things listed year-round, because Christmas items, Halloween items, they definitely sell all year round. So we've talked about jewelry and we've talked about the holiday items that you can pick up. Another area, while I'm still looking through the jewelry, is I wanted to talk to you about bread and butter items. Those are the kind of items that you sell that are just you sell year round and they're just steady sellers for you. They could be big ticket items, they could be smaller ticket items. So, for example, my bread and butter items are things like jewelry, magazines, comic books. I don't sell so many books, but I know a lot of people, their bread and butter items are like books and candle holders and things of that nature. So, leave a comment down below and let us all know what kind of things are your bread and butter items, the things that steadily sell for you all the time. So, of course, like mugs, that's another one that I like to sell a lot of. So, leave a comment so we can see what other kinds of things we could be looking for bread and butter items. So now going down the hall, I'm noticing that a lot of the things that I am interested in are a little out of my price range as far as a flipper. Now this is a really cool carved cat. They want $48 for it, which is a good price, but I'm not going to be able to make very much profit off of that. Another area that I like to hit up when I go into an estate sale are the bathrooms, because a lot of times those are areas that are overlooked or things you can find things that are a good price that you would be able to, like I say, flip them. So another area that I like to look at when I am in estate sales are, I'll look at the linens. Again, I'm showing like this clock is $15. That's more than I want to pay. But things like linens, if you can find quilts or things that are crocheted blankets, things like of that nature. And a lot of times you'll find those in the bedroom or in a linen closet. This one, they wanted a little more than I wanted to spend on some of their linens and pillows and things. Again, a little bit more. I like picking up these glass paperweights, but that one was more than I wanted to spend. So as you can see on their pillows, I think they wanted $6, which is, I mean, not terrible, but it's just like a plain pillow, so pass. But there are pillows, like embroidered pillows or different decorative ones that can bring a good profit. And in that same vein, this particular estate sale did not have like a sewing room, but a lot of times you'll find in estate sales with sewing rooms where you can find fabrics, embroidery kits, feet. They're little feet for sewing machines, which are like uh, it presses down the fabric. I don't know how to describe it if you don't know about sewing machines, but different accoutrement for sewing machines and sewers or crafters. This particular estate sale didn't have that, but that's another area that I always look, and I always pick up scissors. My scissors vanish around my house, but I always pick up really nice scissors, which you can also usually find when you're in a craft room or a sewing room. I like Vicks Rub as much as the next man, but not some used one for $1. Okay, another area that I like to peek in are the closets, especially walk-in closets like this, because they will put just things that they think aren't really that important, usually tucked away in a closet. The glasses, I do love selling prescription glasses because people will buy them with the frames and they'll get their own prescription put in there. So I get that question a lot, like, how do you sell prescription? Well, you're not selling the actual prescription, it's the frames because they're very expensive. So, for example, here's some Tag Heuer. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. That's sold for $50. So I like selling frames. They wanted, again, $5, which is not terrible depending like if there are certain brands that you could still make a good profit on them. But I chose not to go ahead and pick up any of the glasses there at this estate sale. But it's something for you to be thinking about. Because look here, there's some Oakleys that sold for $57. I mean, really nice profit to be made there if you pick them up for a few bucks. So again, checking out those closets because they'll put little knick-knacky things or, I don't know, wallets. Wallets are another area that I really like to pick up. They've got some nice frames here, but again, nothing that was really jumping out at me. Look at that button. Oh, there's the sewing. There's the sewing stuff. Very small area for sewing stuff, but so yeah, in the closet, like here, I'm finding some really nice wallets. They're a little more than I want to spend on them. This is an eel skin wallet, but I know I've tried selling them before. They sit for a little while and they wanted $6 on that, so I just pass. So yeah, wallets, depending, could be belts. Yeah, all kinds of little goodies to be found. I particularly like selling smalls because they're easy, like I say, easy to store, easy to ship, and can usually get a pretty good profit on them. But yeah, I didn't find any wallets in this particular estate sale that grabbed my attention. leave a comment down below about your opinions about estate sales. I know there are people that just absolutely love them. Maybe it's just depending on your area. There were definitely companies where I lived before in the Houston area that had some really good deals. I really like the ones, like I said, that don't take anything with them to the next estate sale or pack things out. They're they're there to sell it all. I don't know that this was going to be one of those. They didn't really seem to want to work on any deals with me. I don't see any shoes that I like, but shoes are another thing to be picking up when you're looking through these closets. What else do you guys look for when you're looking through closets and such? There's another, the bathrooms where you're looking for. Sometimes you find vintage perfumes or, I mean, I know it sounds weird, but like if it's an old packaging for, let's say, Crest or a certain old soap that they don't make anymore, like Zest or so. I think they still make Zest, but I think you know where I'm going with that. So I have sold a bunch of buttons. So even though this button is huge and it's just kind of crude, I have made, if you guys have been watching me for a bit, you remember I bought that big giant tub of buttons and pin backs like this for $25. And I would have to say I probably made at least $1,000 off of them already. I was keeping a running total, and about 6 to 8 months ago I quit adding on to that. But at the moment when I quit, I was already up to $600 something because even at $10, some of them sold for $20, $30. It just adds up. And again, they're small items, and it did take time to process them all. But man, has it been worth it. Okay. So got off on a tangent there. So again, I'm looking through here in the bedrooms. They didn't exactly have a linen closet, but I've talked about that, taking a look at quilts and old vintage linens, handkerchiefs. I see this really nice picture of the Queen, but, oh yeah, it's a tin, which can also bring good money, some of these tins, but I think they wanted more than I wanted to pay on that. I do end up picking up these cute little vintage fans, and I didn't even notice the glass, were they like cherry blossom plant? They're like faux with the little glass balls. Those probably would have been a good pickup too, but I was just so enthralled by this cute little fan that I totally missed it. But that's probably something that I could have gotten. They're not cherry blossoms. What are they? Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So with these fans, and like I was talking about with the buttons, so little small things that you can pick up for pretty cheap are great things to pick up at estate sales. So I'm thinking about things like those buttons, matchbooks, swizzle sticks, cassette tapes, magazines. A lot of times those are little things that they just think are inconsequential that you can generally get for a good price and be able to flip them over to make a good profit on them as well. I thought this was pretty cool. They wanted $10 for it. It looks like a frame, but not. So I wasn't quite, look at that face. Look at that face. Maybe it's something to hang on the wall to put I don't know what it was, but I was like, $10 is a bit pricey, more than I like to pay. But it was such a unique item that I was like, well, I think I really just need to get this. So the next area we're heading into, which is another area to go definitely check out after I look at this fish rug apparently, is the kitchen. There's so much that you can find in the kitchen. Usually they'll have mugs for pretty cheap, and you guys know I love selling mugs. Some of them take a little longer to sell, but again, it's one of those things that you can get for pretty cheap and that you can flip for a nice profit. So as I'm looking through their kitchen, I'm noticing this really cool old red lunchbox. It is a Dolph Briscoe, which I don't really know that brand at all. But, and again, if it's not a brand, y'all can laugh at me. It's totally fine. But they wanted more than I wanted to pay on it. But it was really cool, don't you think? But I didn't get it. But again, going through kitchen items, you can frequently find things that are inexpensive. Now, I like looking at blue plates, and again, I always say not everybody knows everything. This is not a flow blue plate, but it's something that I usually look for. Oops, forgot to mute my phone there. All right, so again, going through, I don't usually sell stemware and glassware, but if I see something that's really nice, I for sure will. These really cool canisters, those are a little cutesy with the geese on it, but here I see a nice piece of cranberry glass. However, $15 is a little hefty, more than I want to pay, but it's a really nice piece. But again, if you can get something like that for a couple bucks, might be worth it. But I do find some little painted, they look like little ashtrays, right? Maybe for a bridge party. I remember my grandmother used to have bridge parties where they would have little finger foods and such. But then they would have these little teeny ashtrays for the ladies next to their spots, because of course they all smoked back then. So those, I thought, $4 on those cute little ashtrays. I can pick those up and make a profit on those. There was a little glass, looks like a Scotty dog, but its top was missing. I think it was supposed to have like a lid. I could be wrong, but still $8. I feel like it was supposed to have a lid. I didn't find a whole lot else. I just realized I walked past a little glass trinket box, but I missed it. And again, teacups like this, if they were just like $1 or $2, then I might have gotten them. That one with the feet was pretty cute. Little kitty cat salt and pepper shakers, but they wanted $10. You know, if those were $1, for sure they would have come home with me. Little figural items like that. Cats, especially, people love their cats. Okay, next area that I would go into is the garage. This is another area, kind of like with closets. They kind of shove things that they think aren't usually as expensive. A lot of times they have somebody manning the garage separately, just watching over stuff, but you can find some really good deals out in the garage. I love you this much. So I'm looking through, I'm not seeing anything jumping out at me here, but frequently there'll be, you know, tools, even cleaning supplies. Sometimes I'll pick up cleaning supplies at an estate sale for $1 or so that I'll just use at home because they're still good, right? Pump up sprayers. This is also an area where I'll find the kinds of things that we flip locally. So if you are also selling locally, then the garage is an area that you can find like fertilizer spreaders, things like that. Those sell really well for us. Dog crates, and you know, even mulch, like bags of mulch. I've been at estate sales where they have like a pile of bags of mulch that you can get for pretty cheap, and that will sell as well if you're selling locally, which, you know, if you haven't tried it yet, then definitely I encourage you to think about selling things locally as well. So they did have their holiday items out in the garage. That Santa was pretty cool, but they wanted $15 for him, so he got left behind. But he's definitely a nice piece, you know. I don't know anything about that brand, but I know there are people that they have a color scheme for their holiday stuff. So even if it's like a woodland Santa like that, that might be right up someone's alley. But I tend to go for like tubs like this. If I can find a tub like that where just like Christmas ornaments have been thrown into it, that's where I find my treasures and things like that. Of course, I see this because we sell, like I said, we sell things locally. So I'm looking at this little, what do you call it? A little cart thingy. Not for sale, it says. But this is another, you know, a point to be taken here is find out also if they're selling their appliances, because if you're a local seller, you know, being able to pick up appliances like their washer, dryer, if you know that they're working, it's something that you can sell for, you know, $400 or $500. That's one of those little spreaders that I talked about, the fertilizer spreaders. The one that are their push fertilizer spreaders, those can really sell for good money locally. So again, garden supplies. I'm really, you know, grateful, you know, Juan and I started selling things locally so we can increase our profits. So those were the areas that I encourage you to look at estate sales. If you've got other areas that you think are often overlooked where you can find money, estate sales, garage sales, wherever, even in thrift stores, drop a comment down in the comment section because we're all learning from one another. So yeah, thanks so much for hanging out, and I hope you got something out of this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.